All right, change of pace now. We're going to get serious for about a couple of minutes and then we'll get back to the fun. But there obviously is plenty of news happening around the NRL at the moment, with news that the Newcastle Knights are set to part ways with coach Adam O'Brien. So for more, let's bring in Michael Shamus from the Sydney Morning Herald. Shammy, good to see you. Can you tell us what's the latest on this?
Yeah, sorry to ruin the mood, Danica. We'll get a bit of serious about rugby league. Yeah, Adam O'Brien, his time at the Knights will come to an end in the next couple of days. It'll become official. He's gone to the club. They've reached an agreement that he will walk away from his time despite having 2 years to run there. My understanding is he's mentally exhausted. The job's taken a lot out of him. And he's agreed that it's best for all parties to step away. At the moment, they met last night, the club, the power broke with some members of the board to work out what that settlement will be. It's anywhere between 12 to 18 month payout for Adam O'Brien. That's still being finalised. They'll front the board on Thursday and that will be ratified. But my understanding, Adam O'Brien will see up the year and his time will come to an end.
Who's making the decisions up at Newcastle Knights at the moment?
Yeah, good question, Freddie. It's a tough one to actually answer because the moment we know that Phil Gardner is the group CEO. He's moving on at the end of the season. Peter Parr's moving up from football manager into the CEO role. Chris James will become the general manager. And the board, well, it was clear, mate, well, unless the chairman of the club was being a bit mischievous with his words. He was in the Telegraph on the weekend saying that Adam O'Brien was safe, the chairman, Jeff Coburn. So maybe he wasn't aware what was going on in the background, but it's my mail that at the end of last week, the conversations between the club and Adam O'Brien and his manager, Isaac Moses, were had, and that he was ready to walk away. So maybe someone forgot to tell Jeff that was happening.
So looking ahead then, is Blake Green a certainty then to take over as head coach?
Look, that's been my mail. A couple of months ago, I raised that Adam O'Brien was likely to finish at the end of the season. They were looking at other options. That option was Josh Hannay, and the other one was Blake Green. And my understanding is that he's the front runner. I think they'll go through a bit of a process to speak to people, but if I was a betting man, I'd say Blake Green at the moment will be the likely coach of the Newcastle Knights without anything being finalised just yet.
So, Joey, how does this all sit with you?
Someone asked me this morning. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea what the club needs as a coach, whether it's Blake, a young guy with fresh ideas, or whether it's a Brad Arthur who's been there before with a hard edge and crack him over. But the problem's not with the coaching. The problem is, which I've been quite vocal, is the junior system coming through and the pathways. They can't attract marquee players up there, so they have to build from within. Now, there's the options there. Obviously, Sam, I think, is long-term at Warrington. Willie Peters is... whole KR got them going. Blake Green's been in the system there. Trent Barrett at Brisbane. Brad Arthur, great experience, been to Melbourne, was at Manly, was at Parramatta, a great success.
Chamis, has there been any other names tossed around?
Yeah, the other one that obviously outside that list is Justin Holbrook. I heard that there is interest in Justin Holbrook. There's been conversations with his management about potentially going to Newcastle. He's currently at the Sydney Roosters, an assistant to Trent Robinson. We know he's previously been sacked to the Gold Coast Titans, but he's had success in the Super League. So that's the other name at the moment that I'm hearing is one of the contenders.
One thing I do know, I spoke to Chris James actually while I was up there a couple of weeks ago at the NRLW Magic Round. And they're now starting to invest in northern New South Wales. They've also
up around Coffs Harbour. They're going to have an academy at Coffs Harbour. They're going to have an academy up around Scone, Singleton. But they got back that area. Up around Singleton, Scone, Muswellbrook.
I think the Bulldogs though are still in around Taree.
They got Taree, but the Knights now have got hold of around the Coffs Harbour area.
Obviously, Joey, we know what you mean to the club. I know that you will never take on a head coaching role. That's just not your thing. But would you like to be a part of maybe the decision-making process? No.
I live in Sydney now. I haven't lived there now in Newcastle for far out. 18, 19 years.
But you watch every single game of NRL. You see things,
I'm not on the ground. That sort of stuff. You've got to be there every day.
Even for a head coach.
Spoke about Chris James, General Manager of footy. I actually met with Chris and Peter Parr about maybe a month ago, 2-3 weeks. And they went through the junior system and what they're implementing there. And it all looks really good. But you can have the best boat in the world, but you've got to have the best captain steering the ship. So if they get the right people in, this isn't going to be 2 or 3 years. This is a long-term thing, maybe 4 or 5 years. So whoever gets the coach, the first thing they're going to work out is who is going to play 6, who is going to play 7. Whether it's going to be Dylan Brown at 7 or Fletcher Sharp. I've had conversations they don't know. Who's going to play hooker? Because Phoenix Crosland they see now as a lock. Jaden Brayley's moving on. Is Marley going to sign Sandon Smith? Whether they're going to use him as a dummy half, I don't know. Whoever comes in has to go, this is my spine, this is how we're playing, everyone's on the same page. But the big one for me is the junior system and the pathways.
Well, the other big decision is, of course, Kalen Ponga and Dylan Brown. It's a lot of money to invest in a fullback and a 5'8". You're sort of talking
Halfback.
halfback and a fullback. So you're talking about $3 million between them.
And the weight of that in your salary cap.
cap.
So then you're obviously taking away from all the other positions as well.
Well, front rowers. And they lost a front rower, Leo Thompson.
Leo Thompson, yeah.
He's going to Canterbury.
So it seems like there's a lot more for. It's a big job for whoever does come in to coach as well. And you know, to think about it from the coach's perspective, you'd be having to look at it and going, all right, it's a huge job ahead. Yeah.
Josh Hannay's got the Titans. That's I reckon that'd be kindergarten stuff compared to the job you need at the Knights. Huge.
Right, all right. Some other news that has been, of course, happening this week is the situation with Brandon Smith. Shamus, what can you tell us about where this stands at the moment?
Yeah, well, the NRL released a statement yesterday that they wouldn't enforce the no-fault stand-down policy, and Brandon Smith will be free to play for the Rabbitohs to finish the season. Now, this is heading to the courts on September 18. The summons that Brandon Smith received, there were 2 allegations on that summons notice. The first involving the supply of a dangerous drug, namely cocaine, to Victor Radley. That was the accusation that was put forward. Now, Victor Radley at the time was in the early parts of June. The Roosters were on a bye weekend. He was with 6 other teammates in the Sunshine Coast. Now, I'm not accusing anyone else of wrongdoing or accusing Victor Radley of any wrongdoing, but the summons notice that was given to Brandon Smith said that he was accused of supply, while in Sydney, he was in Sydney at the time, to Victor Radley. The other part of that is an allegation of providing inside information that led to allegations of a bet, or information that led to the opportunity to place a bet. Now, I delved a little bit into this yesterday. My understanding is that he was contacted by the person of interest to the police, which is where this all started, and he was notified that this person was going to put an anytime try scorer bet on what was Brandon Smith's potential return to the NRL. He was named in the number 22 for that week, which would have been his first game for South Sydney. Brandon exchanged information with him, informed him that he was actually going to start that game, and there may have been some exchanges around his, backing him for first try scorer because he was starting. Now, this is the game in question. He came awfully close, Brandon Smith, to scoring that first try, but what other player wouldn't be trying to score in a game where you're fighting for 2 points? So they're the accusations at the moment. As I said, he fronts court on September 18, and the matter, the NRL and the Roosters and South Sydney will wait until that plays out before going into any course of action.